My guest today is the titular head of one of the most extensive former princely states in India and the last surviving ruler of a Nagvanshi dynasty, carrying a legacy of 33 generations preceding to the Norman conquest in 1066 and spanning a period from the Gupta dynasty to the end of colonialism in the Indian subcontinent. A kingdom spoken of in fairy tales, covering almost 10,000 square kilometers in its heyday and ruling over 224,000 people. His Highness Shri Anant Pratap Deo, Maharaja of Kalahandi.
Your Highness, it is a delight to have you here with us today. Thank you for taking the time to join us. My family's time at the palace is always cherished with a memory of great hospitality and kindness. So thank you so much for receiving us there.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
Many people have a very stereotypical perception of your way of life specifically. But really, what was life like for you?
You see, although we've been born in such a noble family, there's nothing that in today's day and age that one has to sort of be very, we are, it's like we are rubbing shoulders. My parents have made sure that we've rubbed shoulders with everyone. And I'm very proud of it that although I'm born in such a family, but I've never ever sort of let it get to my head that is going to make any difference to me. I'm very much just a boy around the other door when I was growing up.
Yes.
And today I feel like I'm just another citizen of India.
The Kalahandi state was back then one of the most prosperous regions in the Orissa province during the British Raj. To many of us who have no reference of history and its past, could you paint us a little picture of what it was like?
It was one of the most prosperous regions,
Yes.
and the history of it goes back right to the prehistoric times.
Yes.
You have prehistoric paintings. You have the Pale River civilization, and we've been there in Kalahandi or Kalahandi, as we say it in Orissa.
Yes.
That Kalahandi, I'm saying because a lot of your audience would not know the meaning. So Kalahandi, basically, we have been there for 1,000 years,
Yes.
and we are the only, surviving family of the Nagvanshi dynasty, which is there in India, one of the oldest in India and probably even the world. And
Yes.
it's a great pride to be born in such a family. And I would, in some way or the other, I'd love to make a contribution to the legacy that my family has left behind.
The contribution of the Indian princely states in the independence struggle is very often undermined, or in history, it is very flat out ignored. To people who believe what I just said, do you think that it is a misunderstanding?
The independence struggle was definitely undermined by all the hard work that was put in by the families like us.
Yes.
You had people like the Rani of Jhansi. You
Yes.
had right from the Mughals. You had Chhatrapati Shivaji. You had Maharaja Pratap. We always fought against the invaders who came into India. So our contribution to these invaders and the exploiters of our great nation has always been there. And it is definitely very neglected in our history. And I'm very grateful that presently a lot of things has been changing, and we are getting due recognition, like what, like the like the Statue of Unity that has been made.
The Statue of Unity.
Yes, there's a special room which is dedicated to all the people with all the thing, all the this thing, all the families that have contributed and whatever they could their way to make to form India, and they started giving due recognition. And
Yes.
I'm very grateful to the government right now.
The government, of course, has a very huge part nowadays. But even in the times of that today nowadays, it may seem like a huge ray of hope. But back then, policies like the doctrine of lapse and agencies of the British India have had a very great effect on Orissa, particularly, and especially the princely states. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the doctrine of lapse was basically imposed on Nagpur and Sambalpur. Sambalpur is important for us because it happens to be in Orissa, and more important to my family because the last daughter of the Raja of Sambalpur was married in Kalahandi.
Okay.
So for it, Sambalpur to Kalahandi being such a vast such a vast area.
Yes.
The British felt it to be a big hindrance to come to the northern part of Orissa. So they imposed the doctrine of lapse, and basically they imposed, but this was not there. This doctrine of lapse system was not there early on. It was imposed by the Britishers. Early on in our history, we gave equal importance to the girls as we gave to the boys.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because that was very true. I think the discrimination on sexuality as well as gender was very much brought in by British people. So that, the royal families, which were very secular in many ways, they were very inclusive. And the people who lived under the princely states, what effect did they have on Kalahandi, on Orissa by extension?
There have been many examples of the families that have gotten education for the girl child. They've got part we only hear about abolition of like in Kalahandi, there was the abolition of people who bonded labor. We were one of the first to take out this system. My great grandfather, Maharaja Deo, he did away with bonded labor. So it was who tilled the land was given the land. So that happened much before than anywhere else. In at least Orissa, I can say. I don't know about India, but Orissa, it was one of the first places. So the contribution has always been there.
So also, your family became politically conscious with the career of His Highness Maharaja Pratap Deo. Many of us may find a lot of information, and he also published an autobiography. But what was he like personally as a grandfather?
Well, he was a giant of a man politically. He was a great parliamentarian. Yes. He was a statesman, as I can say. But as a grandfather, he was he was my mentor. He was more like a friend to me. He guided me through tough times and helped me, and always shared the good times, his good times, and I shared my good times with him. I could always confide in him. So we had a very good rapport, and I can never forget him. I really miss him.
Did the abolition of the privy purses, in your opinion, change the people of and in the the princely states?
The abolition of the privy purses is, I think it's a good thing. It's a forward-looking thing. One cannot be dependent on something which is like a dole. One can't be dependent on it forever. One has to move with times. And I think with the abolition of it, people like us have started to thrive better, stand on our own feet, and sort of work with more merit and get this get recognition on our own. And I think it's real equality, what I would say.
One of the common themes also after the abolition is that, as you said, families stood up on their own feet and they tried to modernize. Also, they tried to modernize their areas, specifically bringing this to Kalahandi. The family also established a school. Could you tell us about the history of the school and the vision?
School was started in the first part of 2000. My sister started it off, and Shri Manjari Deo, and then subsequently my wife started running it with my mother, and it's a pre-nursery school to grade 5, and it's a non-profit school looking after the need of all the students who can't afford to go to the the higher high end pre-nursery schools.
Yes.
And we also have an art school in the palace, which is named after my father. And so we basically are. I want to start off a lot of philanthropical things to look after and to to promote the art and culture of Kalahandi. And we also had the Brajamohan Sahitya Samiti, which was given by my grandfather in memory of his father, Brajamohan Deo. It was a Sahitya Samiti which used to be held throughout the year. So that was a very famous society, and people from all over Orissa came to participate in it. And it was a Oriya medium society. It was only Oriya literature. Then after that, we also have various dance and cultural groups, the MSA, Mahavir Sanskriti Anushthan. And my grandfather also gave the football, cricket, and the Ranji Trophy, which the Ranji Trophy of Orissa is, they select the Ranji Trophy from Orissa from the cricket, from the Brajamohan, from the Kalahandi Cup, which is again named after, which was given by my grandfather to the Cricket Association, named after my great grandfather.
So, do you think that people who are in a privileged position need to, in some way, as you said, you have a great interest in philanthropy, need to give back?
Definitely, we have to give back. That's what is the use of being in and getting so many opportunities and making use and of all the contacts and the privileges that we get of our society, the place that we are in. If we cannot give back to the people, although economically we cannot give it back, but at least socially, yes. And we can always take part in at least look after the culture, look after, take part in social activities, and see that various we can help out in development works, etc., etc.
How do you see India around you today? Because there has been, India has changed a lot over the past 7 decades.
The development in India has been tremendous, and I think it's one of the newly industrialized, from a newly industrializing nation. It's now one of the most industrialized nations in the world, and we hope that by 2030 we should be at par with, say, any of the top 3 superpowers. And I think we are going in the right direction. And I think our market is big, our economy is strong, our defense is fantastic.
Of course, India has improved after the torment that was faced in the colonial experience. What effect do you think India will? I mean, what position would India have in today's world had the British not colonized it? In your opinion,
I've been much better off, frankly speaking, because I think we lagged behind a lot after they colonized us. We lagged behind by about, say, a good 150 years.
yes.
We would have been much more ahead than what's happened today.
What message would you like to pass down to the people of Kalahandi, and what message would you like to give to them?
I think with the grace of Mama Ekeshri, I pray to her that the way she has looked after us for centuries, that she looks after us now, and she looks after us in the future, and let us be a role model for the whole of Orissa. We are a very peaceful country, a very peaceful, and Kalahandi has always been a very sort of
a creative hotspot.
It's been a cultural pot, and we've always have been very acceptable to the outside world. I think we just need to have a lot of faith in Mama Ekeshri and look after our own what can I say? I mean, look after our own well-being and help others who come into Kalahandi.
That's a beautiful, beautiful message, sir. In the future, that being said, in the future, what do you think will become of India's royals and the royal families?
They would, I think they would get into a lot of social work, probably because they've got that reach to the people. And if they get into, if some of them get into industries and business, probably they can help out even economically, like give employment to their people. And if they get in politically, they can help development of their specific area and look after the development of their constituencies. So it's a very, case-specific, case-centric approach that each family has to their area.
To end the interview, I would just like to ask you personally, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I went to a public school in Rajasthan, Mayo College, Ajmer.
College.
After that, I went to Stephens in Delhi. Then I worked for a year in Delhi, and then I did my Masters of Business Administration from Australia. And after that, I've been looking after my properties here. Also have been politically involved, and I'm in the BJP right. And hopefully I'll be able to serve my people to the best of their interests.
Your Highness, it was a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for giving and sparing some of your time with us. And we are looking forward to seeing and meeting you here again.
Pleasure was all mine.